Hey, this is Vu, and today I'm going to be trying to convince you that the Deagle is an awesome gun and more than worth a buy in certain scenarios. Not only that, but I think if used correctly in those scenarios, it can be better than both the 5.7 and the Tech 9. And not only that, but the Deagle is a round-changing gun, whereas the 5.7 and Tech 9 will get you more consistent kills a lot of the time. However, you will get kills that don't necessarily mean that you're going to win the round. However, if, again, used correctly, the Deagle will get you those kills where you immediately get that kill, grab a gun, and win the round based on that. Now, I think the Deagle gets a bad rap because people think it's actually a lot less accurate than it is. If standing still, you're going to be able to see here that the Deagle is actually incredibly consistent and accurate. And not only that, but you can see I was taking a long downtime between shots. You don't actually have to take an insanely long downtime like a lot of people seem to think. You can shoot fairly quickly and it's still going to be accurate. Not only that, but if you're close range, if you are next to an opponent like this range, you can simply spam away and you're going to be able to hit them with every single bullet you shoot, and it's pretty easy to get kills because you'll do 55 to 60 damage a bullet. So if you use it correctly, the Deagle, again, can be an extremely strong gun. Now, what situations would you want to be buying the Deagle in is the first question that needs to be answered. Well, you want to be buying the Deagle in situations where you're not simply going for a rush. Now, obviously, this should be more than self-explanatory. If you are rushing on that T side, you're doing a 4 or 5 man push, you want to have the Tech 9. It is simply a better run and gun weapon. You'll be able to get easier kills while moving. The Deagle, you need to stop, you need to aim, and you need to shoot. So you need to make sure you are doing it on T side only if you are working picks, and past that you need to be doing it in positions hopefully where you're going to be able to set up and either wait for someone to be peeking you, or where you can peek out on someone where you think you know where they'll be. So that's like a position on Cat, where you can not only wait for their mid player to peek from Cat or from Xbox, but you can also head towards Cat, and there are very few situations or positions that the opponents are going to play that you won't be expecting. They're going to be playing spots like here, and you can have a teammate clear that, then you can come up and fight someone that's holding a spot like this, where you can simply come out Cat and land a quick shot and then fall right back, and you can see this shot is incredibly accurate. You're going to hit his head if you are aiming at his head 100% of the time, and not only that, you can be even more accurate if you just crouch down, find this spot, take a shot, and then fall back if you miss. That is one of the necessary requirements with the Deagle. Now, on the CT side, you want to be using the Deagle when you can hold a spot where they're going to be running right by you, hopefully, and running right into your crosshair. Generally, you don't want to be using it in a spot like pit because people are going to be expecting you in pit and they're not going to necessarily run directly into your crosshair. However, if you are playing a spot like corner where they're going to run right by you, this should be an easy 1-dig, and not only that, but you can peek out and get these strafing shots. If you are consistent with that strafing moving, you should be able to land that shot just as consistently as if you're standing still. That's one of the other things you need to know with the Deagle. Now, one of the other things I want to quickly mention is that the Deagle is best if you have a lot of money and you want to get armor, okay? Because the Deagle is not a gun like the 5.7 or the Tech 9 that you can simply spam away and aim punch doesn't matter. If you have a Deagle and if you get aim punched, you are completely screwed. So either you need to be playing a spot like here on plat where you catch people and they can only see your head, or you need to only be using the Deagle when you can afford to buy body armor with it. Now, on to actually how to use the Deagle. I've already gone over that just a little bit, but I want to mention one thing quickly, and this is something that I actually picked up from Quake. In Quake, there's a gun called the lightning gun, and you simply hold it down, and it's going to hit them so long as your crosshair is on them. I watched a video actually one time talking about how to use the lightning gun, and this actually applied to CS in a number of ways, but especially with the Deagle. This person said, you don't want to be flicking all the time. You want to be consistently on them with as little mouse movement as possible. This is something that I think a lot of people, especially at lower levels, have a problem with, where they're looking to aim at someone and they're flicking to the player every 2 seconds. They're not simply tracing them like a normal person what they want to be doing. They're flicking over the place, and that's going to make your aim incredibly inconsistent. What you want to be doing as much as possible is tracing opponents and taking shots rather than flicking and taking shots, because you're not always going to be landing your flicks that easily. Now, with the Deagle as an actual gun, what you want to be doing is, as I've said before, either you don't have armor, in which case you play a spot where only your head is showing, or you do have armor, in which case you want to play a spot either, again, where your head isn't really showing too much, or you generally want to be playing a spot where you surprise someone. So a spot like here, where you have a teammate baiting in pit, he's going to be shooting and falling back, and you're going to be playing on this corner, they run past your crosshair, easy shot on this CT side. You don't even have to think about it. Another very good spot is going to be this spot right here. You'll actually see heads as they run up cat. Now, this is an okay spot to play with a Tech 9 or with a 5.7 or with a P250. However, you're not going to be able to one-shot them from this range. But with the Deagle, you'll see them running up cat, simple one-shot, of course not while moving, and then fall back, and you can be in a great situation. Actually, I've taken to it where I buy a Deagle, body armor, and a smoke. Now, this is for situations where you have a little bit of extra money, more than your team. However, that's often going to happen, especially on CT side dust too. If you're a rifler, I come mid, throw the smoke that lands right here, and then hold this angle. I'll be able to see them running up cat. If they run up cat, I can clear out lower, and then I can jump up on the box and flank. Now, obviously, this isn't a situation that's completely applicable in every scenario. However, it's something that I've done a ton of times recently, and it works incredibly well. Now, with the Deagle, you need to, of course, master two things. First of all, your first shot point-click aim. I'm going to show you how accurate this gun can be again from this range. You will get very little spread if you are crouching and you shoot slowly. You can see the spread is fairly small here. You just need to have good point-click first shot aim. Now, the other thing you want to have is this strafing ability, strafe shooting, where you can consistently strafe out like that and shoot in that millisecond where you're stopped. And that way you can actually get some insane kills with the Deagle without actually being in very much danger, because you're going to be able to one-shot them, but they're going to have a really tough time actually being able to one-shot you. Now, the other thing you need with the Deagle, this is going to be thing number 3 that you need to know with the Deagle, is you need to have the ability to calm yourself down. This is something a lot of people don't have. They'll come out and shoot really quickly, and even though, look, you can see these shots aren't completely inaccurate, but that's where the idea that the Deagle is an RNG-based gun come from. You have to recognize you shoot slowly and you get kills. However, what you want to be doing is playing as close to corners as possible, as much as possible, because you need to be imagining the Deagle as an op. Okay? That's how you're going to do this. You're going to imagine the Deagle as if you have an op pistol. That is, you take a shot and you back off whenever possible, because when they know you're there, after you miss, you have somewhat of a cooldown unless you're close to them, but not only that, you have a stronger gun than them if you can land that first shot, so you don't want to give them the ability to utilize the fact that they can spray at you with a 5.7, Tech 9, AK, M4, or anything like that. You want to try and execute on the fact that your first shot is always going to be better than their first shot. So you can imagine it almost like having an op. Now, for the Deagle, of course, you always want to be aiming for the head, but as you get closer range, you should be fine to aim for the body, but that's where you start to get a little bit of that RNG focus, where you are spraying at them, you are hoping that basically your Deagle is going to hit them in certain scenarios, when really, you shouldn't really be doing that. I mean, it's not really that great of a situation. Now, on that T side, you want to be getting aggressively positioned and holding an angle. That's generally what I'll be doing on that T side. So, oftentimes, I'll come to this corner, hold this, they'll run by, and I'll get that first shot. Now, that's an incredibly dangerous angle to use as an example, and I'm aware of that. However, that is something that I will sometimes do if I have the spawn, because if they aren't opping it, I know that they are rifling this is a gunfight, I can definitely win. My gun is going to be completely accurate on that first shot. I crouch down, take a shot, fall back. That's what you need to be recognizing that you can do with the Deagle. And past that, you just need to recognize that, again, the Deagle is not going to be useful in every scenario. Don't try and put it in situations where it's not useful. And please, please don't buy it if you can't buy armor, past that, if you don't know how to use it when you don't have armor. The thing about the Deagle, it has a long learning curve. You use it in a deathmatch for a couple of hours and then you go into a game, you are going to be a god with this gun. But if you just try and buy it and use it immediately, you are going to be garbage with this gun. It takes a little bit of getting used to, but once you're used to it, this gun is amazing. Thanks for watching, and I hope this helped.